Friday marks the 69th anniversary of the founding of North Korea's ruling party. With everyone wondering, will Kim Jong-un make his first public appearance in more than a month? Kim was last seen in public attending a concert on September the 3rd. Before that, he'd been shown walking with a limp. Well, joining us for a look into what's happening inside one of the world's most reclusive regimes, Michael Madden, contributor to 38 North. Thank you for joining us today from Boston. Is something wrong?
Not that we know of. Kim Jong-un just appears to be taking an extended break from the public aspects of his role as supreme leader of North Korea.
The rumor mill certainly going full steam at this point.
It is. I think it's due largely to the fact that there's not a lot of information coming out of North Korea. So anytime there's an information void, people are going to be very quick to fill it with rumors and speculation and gossip.
And if he's not in public tomorrow, he's missed what, 2 important public occasions in the last month?
I would say he missed one important public occasion. And then again, I mean, Kim Jong-il, his father, was pretty notorious for not necessarily attending every important state function. That being said, Kim Jong-un has kind of set the bar pretty high, attending a lot of public events. So, it'll be difficult to see. I will give him through the weekend, basically, to see if he shows up at any of the anniversary events. I mean, there'll be a couple of different events, and it'll be interesting to see if he shows up at any of them. If he doesn't show up, then the rumor mill is going to go certainly into overdrive.
All right, Michael Madden, I see you erring on the side of caution. I'm going to throw a curveball at you. We could couple Kim's disappearing act with the surprise show last Saturday of the regime's number 2, Hwang Pyo-ing, attending the closing ceremonies of the Asian Games in Incheon. Now, he's the senior-most person to visit South Korea in 5 years. To many, it's come as a huge surprise. Some are saying even that could there have been some kind of a palace coup, and this is their way of telling the South about it.
I generally don't think if there had been a palace coup in North Korea, and that's it's not common, but that's a sort of a perennial rumor that happens. It came up a few years ago with Kim Jong-il when his health was pretty fragile. And it had come up a few years before. I mean, there's always rumors of a palace coup, and I tend to find some of that hypothesis to be sheer nonsense.
Sheer nonsense, but why did he go to South Korea?
I think that's tied more to inter-Korean relations. I think it was a very rare opportunity that South Korea would be hosting an international sports competitions with the 17th Asian Games in Incheon. And the North Koreans saw an opportunity, and they decided to take it, possibly to give momentum to stalemated inter-Korea talks and negotiations.
People weren't expecting the North Koreans to, I guess you could call it, make the first move. And having the number 2 of the regime, the effective number 2 of the regime, show up and even meet with South Korea's prime minister.
It's pretty phenomenal, and it's certainly unprecedented in terms of the history of the 2 Koreas. It's also, I think, demonstrative of Hwang's position in the regime, which is to say that the North Koreans, Pyongyang is communicating to the rest of the world that Hwang Pyo-ing, who's obviously a confidant of Kim Jong-un's, is somebody that can engage with foreign interlocutors, whether it be the Chinese or the Russians or the United States even. They're trying to show that Hwang Pyo-ing is somebody that you can communicate about foreign policy with, which is a little different from somebody of his position, the current position that he has.
All right, reacting to that surprise courtesy call during the Asian Games, South Korea's president, she's hoping for more talks after that initial meeting with Hwang.
And as well she should.
I hope South and North Korea open the door of peace through conversations. Relations between South and North Korea haven't seen any improvement because of the vicious circle of talks followed by cooling off periods. The agreement to hold the second round of high-level talks will provide an opportunity to improve relations between the two Koreas.
Michael Madden, give us the background on this. What's the message within the message that she's giving the North Koreans?
I can't really speak for President Park. I think she's. The gist of her message seems to be that they should sort of take seize the initiatives and seize the momentum that they had from their interactions last weekend in Incheon and in Seoul. And I think she seems to be recognizing that this was kind of an unprecedented event in terms of the history of relations between the two Koreas.
And of course, there's been times in the past when the high-level representatives from the two Koreas have met, and it's been followed by more than a letdown, the torpedoing of a South Korean naval vessel.
I mean, the North Korea and South Korea have been talking to each other for over 40 years, and just different forums and different kinds of negotiations over the years. So I mean, it's sort of a these conversations are going to happen anyway, or at least the public conversations. So I mean, I think in terms of approaching North Korea, people should realize that just because North and South Korea are talking, that doesn't mean North Korea is going to suspend military exercises inside the country, and that doesn't necessarily mean the suspension of development of missiles or of the nuclear program. And that's not going to happen simply because they're talking to South Korea. But I mean, both this of President Park's remarks and Hwang's visit to South Korea last weekend are just a good starting point to sort of rejuvenate these conversations.
Rejuvenate the conversations. Where does it stand overall right now? There's still obviously huge setbacks we've seen in the last couple of years when it comes to the demilitarization of North Korea's nuclear program. At this particular point in time, would you say things are waxing or waning with Pyongyang?
In terms of their relations with South Korea?
In terms of their relationship with South Korea and the international community at large.
I mean, there's been the last couple of weeks we've seen the North Koreans. It's called the Charm Offensive by people that follow the Korean Peninsula. The North Korea has sort of been talking to the UN. We've have an admission that they might have labor detention facilities in the north by a North Korean diplomat yesterday or the day before. The North Koreans have been receiving different foreign delegations. For North Korea, it's a matter, and this includes talking to South Korea, it's a matter of diversifying their external contacts away from China. I mean, China's been North Korea's primary interlocutor in the last 5 years. So North Korea might be trying to diversify its ties. And there's a certain point where North Korea is trying to approach the international community differently than they have in the past.
Michael Madden, that brings us back to the original point. With Kim Jong-un not seen in public for more than a month, the last time he was seen walking with a bit of a limp at this particular point in time, and we're still, I guess, early into his tenure. What are the signs that he's the one calling all the shots?
He was calling all the shots up until he disappeared a month ago. In terms of since his absence and potential convalescence, the signs that Kim Jong-un is sort of still in charge come through things like these communications we're seeing in North Korean state media. There's these little exchange of communications being sent to foreign leaders. Sent to workers' organizations and social organizations in North Korea. And there's also reports that North Korea's internal propaganda and agitation activities targeting the domestic population are ongoing. So there's still materials, lectures and discussions are still being held that, venerate Kim's leadership of the country and venerate him as the supreme leader in the system. So there's a lot of these little signs that he's still a focal point of North Korea's political culture. And also this trip that we saw last weekend to South Korea, this would not have happened without Kim Jong-un's expressed authorization. That just would not happen.
Michael Madden, one final question for you. Do you tear your hair out when you're trying to figure out what's going on in North Korea, or is that part of the allure, the fact that you have to use secondhand clues?
Now that's part of. I mean, that is part of. That's part of the gig. I mean, that's that's the first or second thing that, if you had a job description for being a North Korea watcher, it's the first or second thing is hair tearing and fingernail biting. Of course, with North Korea, it's a matter of they're not on our 24-hour news cycle. They're you got to kind of wait 3 or 4 days. And one of my colleagues has sometimes referred to watching North Korean politics as watching paint dry. So I mean, this is part of the deal. Is a lot of this. And usually we get a resolution at some point, whether it's a month from now or 2 days from now.
All right, that caution of patience on the part of Michael Madden, we'll take it to heart. Many thanks for joining us today from Boston.